Hello and welcome to this video. My name's Beckham. The subject here is auto-aligning many different layers. In a previous video I was using these two images to demonstrate a bracketed exposure balance within Adobe Camera Raw using Smart Objects, Layers and Layer Masks. I also said that both of the images you can see on the right hand side in the layers were shot from a tripod, so the lining up of these two layers wasn't a problem at all. But Photoshop does allow us to align layers, and it does a remarkable job. Now I'm going to begin with these two images here. I've got them both highlighted in Bridge, as you can see. I'm going to go to the tools at the top left of the screen, choose Photoshop, and I'm going to ask Photoshop to load these into Photoshop layers. The one thing that the Auto Align cannot do is work on smart objects, but here it's going to have no problem. What I'll do to start with is just zoom in to the image here just a little bit, just a couple of clicks I think should do it. And to demonstrate the difference between these two shots, which were both taken handheld, if I turn the top one off you can clearly see there's quite a large degree of movement. But if I just drop the opacity of that top layer down, now you get a very good idea of just how bad these two images are. But auto-aligned layers is going to deal with it perfectly. And the way it works is we just select both of the layers in the Layers palette. We go to the Edit menu, Auto Align Layers, and with the panel that appears on screen, surprisingly all we need to do is to accept the default auto and click OK. And the results are near magical. Now you can see the difference. This one is still 71% opaque. Let me push that back to its maximum, and when I turn them on and off, the only thing we can see different is the density of the two images, because they was actually a bracketed set of 3 and I just chose 2 for this demo. If I hit Ctrl 0, you can see that all we would need to do is a little bit of cropping around the outer edge, but other than that everything is lined up perfectly. So if you think of the technique I've just demonstrated here with this aircraft in relation to the bracketed exposure balance video, you can see that we could work through raw images that were set to open as smart objects. Once we get them to a state where we know we're not going to need the smart object status anymore, even if the hills, trees or the background isn't entirely lined up, once we remove the smart object status, we can then select both layers, and I'm going to suggest that 99 times out of 100 Photoshop will align those layers just as you saw here with this aircraft. As you can see from the layers on the right hand side, I've got 10 images here which I've opened up into Photoshop's layers, the same as I did with the aircraft. Now this batch of images were shot to illustrate the start of an audiovisual sequence. So the bottom image was designed to be first, and then following in quite rapid succession in the slideshow would be the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one, and you can see how we can actually have the monorail leaving the station. But of course you also saw the difference between them all, because they were all handheld. So they wouldn't be usable at all in a slideshow or for anything else unless Auto Align Layers works with 10 images that you see here. So with the top layer selected, I'll hold the Shift key and select the bottom one, and all those in between will be selected. Then I can go to my Edit menu and choose Auto Align Layers and OK, and let Photoshop go to work. Now with the spinning round of the screen, you can see that Photoshop has in fact gone to work, and yes, I know I've got to do a fair bit of cropping, but I'm working here from original 20 megapixel images from a digital SLR, and all I really wanted was 1920 by 1080 images for the slideshow, so I can easily get the crop I require from these images. Now if I turn off all of these layers and I turn them back on, you can see that the only thing moving is the monorail and the clouds in the sky. So here we have another fabulous technique from Photoshop which we can use both creatively and correctively.